yeah. So there's no well, there is an oversight over
Mhm.
what journals are published, but now we get into the big publishers. So there are a handful of big companies that are making money off of scientific publications, and this is where the vast majority of actual journals are coming from. Now, again, for most of the history of science, it's been on the up and up, and we would grumble because, like, why do they want so much money? When, we don't get paid for doing this stuff. This is all volunteer. Like, they're just trying to bleed our universities dry. But they're the only game in town, so we have to play ball. But yeah, when they screw something up, when they make a mistake, when they say, oh yeah, this seems legitimate, but it's actually completely bogus,
Mhm.
there's not really anyone higher up who we can go to. It's a commercial enterprise, and as long as they're still making money, they have very little impetus to change things.
Would you say it's almost a monopoly?
Oh yeah, I mean it's not too far off from monopoly. There's like 3 or 4 of these major publishers who have like 80 to 90% of the journals out there. So yeah, not technically a monopoly, but not too far away.
Close.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Now,
terrifying.
yeah, this does also bring up the whole open source model, that there are a number of journals that are publishing everything openly for low cost entry, pretty nominal fees to get stuff published. That you can publish it, put it online, because really back in the day when you had to have like a big printing press, it made sense that you have a publisher that you have to go to, because they're
Yeah.
going to actually chunk out the physical copies that require a lot of money. But now that everything's online, well, can't we just put stuff online? We publish things, boom, and you don't use any ink, you don't use any paper. There's no real resources involved in that. So we should be able to do that. There are a number of these open source journals that have been fairly successful, but still have some of the same issues, that you can end up having some laxity of reviewing standards. And this is actually something we're seeing, especially in the current era that we're in COVID times. There is a massive amount of science being done, and we're trying to get it published as soon as possible. Now, a lot of this ends up getting published in what are called preprint servers. So you submit something for publication in a journal, and while you're kind of waiting to see what the journal says, you put it in one of these preprint servers, so everyone can just go online and check it out, read it, leave comments, maybe some critiques and things like that. And some of this is really shit science. Now, because a lot of journalists and other scientists are looking at these preprint servers, again, we're not thinking, well, okay, yeah, some of this stuff is total shit and is not going to get published, or should not be published, because it's completely poorly done. But nevertheless, we end up seeing like people making a lot out of these big surprising findings. So if we go back to hydroxychloroquine, like the whole reason why some people jumped onto that was because really there was one study that came out of a seemingly reputable researcher in France, where and one of these preprint servers had published these results of a really poorly done study, but which suggested that that hydroxychloroquine may reduce some risk of
COVID.
people who are infected with COVID. Now, turns out it was just a horrible study. Lots of things wrong with it. We could spend an hour going over this, but we're not.
I also looked at that research. I don't particularly remember it now, but I remember the reason why that study kind of got obsessed over was more political rather than science, because it was just the fact that the government had like a say in why you cannot buy this anymore. And that kind of like, it's like a child. When you tell a child, oh, don't touch the hot stove, you're going to get burnt, they're going to want to touch the hot stove to see if they actually get burnt or not. And if they say you cannot, absolutely, like you can have that stove in your house for months and years and not mention it at all, and the child won't touch it. But as soon as you say, oh, this hot, you cannot touch this ever, it's bad for you, the child's going to touch it. I've done it, my friends have done it, my parents have done it. It's just us as humans. We're very stubborn, and it's just like, okay, I hear you, but I want to see it for myself. And I feel like that's why people obsessed over it. It was because at some point it wasn't even science anymore. It was just more like on the left side saying that, oh, you shouldn't use it. Trump is lying about it. You can't use it. And then people on the right were, but if we want to, we should be able to use it. And then, no, we are going to use it. So it was just mostly political rather than looking at the actual science of it. So I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, and this is a problem that if I say that something is bad science, that like the study that showed that, or that claimed that hydroxychloroquine is effective, if I say that's bad science, I'm not saying that hydroxychloroquine is not effective. Mm-hmm. It just means based on that science, we can't tell. We have no way of knowing. Plus or minus, positive, negative, we can't say. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's great, but we just have bad science, so we can't say it's great until we get some solid research on it.